it's gonna be an advertising, but I'm still gonna do the intro.
I don't have to do
the
it
cringe is kind of
during
getting
the
away.
race.
Welcome to the SLR SidePOD, episode 32. Today we're gonna be talking about a bit of a more serious topic, I'd say, compared to the last few SidePODs. We're gonna talk about the lockdown or the pandemic, the effects on the pandemic. With me today should be Scopes, but Scopes not here. We've got Ranga, we've got Jordan, we've got Zydra, aka Will, aka Team Mercedes, represented. It's gonna be some propaganda today as well.
Hopefully.
Well, as I already mentioned, we're gonna talk about the effects of the pandemic. Is it what I should call it? The effects of the pandemic?
Yeah.
Right thing. Well, obviously you guys are from, well, I'd say Great Britain, England probably. Obviously, I'm from the Netherlands, so we might have some changes, some difference there. Well, I'm not actually sure how to start this. I'll just get first a great view of the race.
Don't forget to tick your pots, Matt,
kick it off, yeah.
before you start your race.
Don't forget that. All right, great view, great freaking view. Well, we're going to talk about the effects of the pandemic. Obviously, a lot has changed ever since. For me personally, but I think for some of the viewers and for you guys in the party as well. Well, I'd say who wants to kick off? Who has a story to tell, and maybe some others can, compare their stories to yours.
I nominate George.
Any volunteers? Yeah.
We can talk about. Oh, I can go if you want, guys. It makes no sense to me. I'll
Yeah, sure.
As we all know, obviously the pandemic's been pretty bad for some people and been okay and stuff like that. Obviously, people have lost their jobs and stuff, and people obviously lost people. For myself personally, I've been quite lucky to be able to work and been able to work every single day and haven't been one of those people that have been furloughed or haven't been let go, which is a benefit. Mentally, it's been quite challenging. For those people who know me now, normally quite an outgoing person, a lot to say. But I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression back in October, which I haven't really spoken about, to be honest. But that's something I deal with. Slight getting better and stuff like that. But no, it certainly has effect on different people. That's something that's happened to me. It took me quite a while to realise actually what was going on in my life, and what sort of things people do go through. I didn't really understand it until it hit me. But that was mainly the result because I unfortunately lost my granddad back in April last year. Not to COVID, but to motor neurons disease, which was quite difficult. So that's played a bit of a part, and obviously things happening in the world and not being able to go out and socialise and see my friends and all that sort of stuff is obviously a big aspect of it as well. But yeah, that's kind of what's happened in my life. Luckily, I've got great people around me, and there's been people I've been able to speak to, and obviously we've got the guys in here as well. It's been good, and it's been good to escape sometimes. But no, it's something that people deal with. Again, like I said, I never really understood it until it happened to me, and I'm glad that I'm doing something about it and starting to feel a bit happier again, which is the main thing. But yeah, it's going to be difficult with this next lockdown in the UK. I mean, Dylan, I'm not sure what's happening in the Netherlands or what the plans are in the USA.
Yeah, they had a lockdown till the 19th of January, but yesterday they confirmed it on the news and on the press conference that's going to be extended by 3 weeks. Well, obviously, I mean, in the Netherlands we've got a lot of people, like the majority of the people in the Netherlands are standing behind the government and agreeing on that there needs to be a lockdown. But obviously you've all got those, well, I do not want to call them those people, but well, they stand against that, and they've got their own mindset about the COVID thing. Which, well, I agree with the government. It makes it really hard for the obviously the companies. They're gonna get affected by it. But yeah, like here in the Netherlands, like the majority is behind the government. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be, well, the same in UK and other parts of the world. Yeah, it's really a tough thing. I mean, they have to like make decisions with only like half the information that they've got. Obviously, they don't know they've got a vaccine now, but whether how much they've got, I'm not actually sure. They probably got like 2 million, 3 million out here in the Netherlands, which is totally not enough, but it's a great start, especially for the people that work in hospitals and stuff like that. So yeah, we just have to bear with the situation for now and well, make the best of it, I'd say.
Yeah, certainly it's quite interesting from my point of view to see what other countries are dealing with. I mean, obviously we see it all on the news, but actually to have someone firsthand explain what's actually going on in their country is also quite interesting to know as well.
Yeah, really, really.
So it's certainly difficult, but yeah, I mean, it's not a nice time for anyone. I mean, from myself and the UK, and I'm sure Zai, Ranga, and Scopes can say that it's literally this is the third one we've had now, and I'd like to think it'd be the last one, especially with the steps we're apparently making. But
Right.
it's very difficult to say. I don't really think our government has all the answers yet. I don't necessarily blame Boris Johnson. I don't think anyone could have done any better or worse. I just think there's things that aren't as clear as what we would have liked to as citizens. But I mean, I'm not a politician. I'm not most savvy of all this sort of stuff. But I just hope it all gets sorted and people start surviving and we can start doing things as normal again.
Yeah, obviously the latest thing that came out in the news, I think it's when the Christmas days were about to start. That well, they here in the Netherlands they call it the British variant of the COVID pandemic right now. Obviously, there's like a new I'm not really sure how to say it. It's like a new variant of the COVID, and I think the UK has been really struck by it. Well, probably you can talk about more than I can, but how bad is the situation there in the UK now?
I'll let someone else answer because I've spoken enough for the time.
It's not amazing. It's pretty bleak, to be honest with you. I think the death toll for the entirety of the UK passed over 100,000 today.
All right, yeah.
Which is it's a lot of people. People might,
Yep.
you know, some people
One in
look at it and
600.
think, yeah, people would look at it and be like, well, you know, we've got a population of like over
60 million,
over like 70 million or something like that, isn't it now? Something like that. So
Yeah.
100,000 isn't a lot of people, but you come on, 100,000 people,
Yeah,
and think of the huge numbers of people that affects and their family and their friends, and I think, and it's obviously it's not just the death toll. It's obviously so much more than that, and the pandemic in general it can be looked at in some form of iceberg. I feel like on the top of the iceberg, what you can actually see is, the death toll, the number of cases, all the sort of negative stuff that gets reported in the news on a daily basis, and obviously it's all negative. I mean, obviously there's stuff about vaccines and stuff, but generally the most important stuff is pretty negative because that's what it is. It's a pandemic. So yeah, it's not an ideal situation here in the UK. I think, as George said, this is our third lockdown. The second one in November was, although it was a national lockdown, it felt like it wasn't. It felt like people didn't really take it seriously whatsoever. It didn't really stop people from going to work. Schools were still open. So on and so forth. It didn't really feel like a lockdown. I think I don't really want to get involved in terms of political discussions. I feel like there's a lot of people who feel like Boris Johnson could have done a bit better than what he's done. I don't, as I just said, I don't really want to get involved in it. I do feel like there's been like issues for those people, particularly working in I mean, there's been massive issues for everyone, but I feel like just from personal experience, there's been a lot of issues for people working in the public sector, so like teachers and obviously people who work in healthcare, and seems to have been a complete um, disregard for those people. And I don't think it's really sat well for people, like, because the government, a big part of education in the UK, or historically, is kids obviously, a lot of kids are entitled, I mean all kids are entitled to free education, and things that have kind of like miffed off the general public is stuff like free school meals and stuff. And it's like a lot of children in this country are dependent on the meals that are provided by their schools, because either their families can't afford to put a hot meal on the table for them, or some other reason they haven't got the facilities or a home, or so on and so forth. So a lot of children are dependent on the school meals that they get. And there was initially, the government was going to scrap these in the periods where children weren't in school and during the holiday periods. So there was, a lot of chance that children were going to go without hot meals and stuff during Christmas. And a lot of the work that was done by Marcus Rashford and a lot. I mean, obviously, a lot of other people behind the scenes, but I feel like Marcus Rashford's probably the most publicised one. He's done so much for this country, and he's been obviously recognised by becoming. I think is he a Sir now, or is it just an MBE? I think it's an MBE.
I think it's just an MBE for Marcus
Yeah,
Rashford,
but still an MBE for a 22-year-old, and that's incredible.
He's a young lad,
He's
isn't he?
20.
He's an absolute role model of a bloke. He really is. He's obviously it's alright for him. Like personally, like he could easily just sit there on his comfortable salary from Man United and just not worry about what other people are doing and get on with his own life. But he makes it his own sort of quest to improve the lives of other people, because he's been there himself and he's experienced it, and he came from, that's his background, so it means a lot to him, and he tries to kind of give back to the community as much as he can. I think something that I know I've seen personally was obviously, in the I mean all around the world, but especially in the UK, we know what like football rivalries like. And I remember obviously my team was Everton, and when Everton played Man United, who Rashford plays for, and there was like a message on the big boards basically thanking Marcus Rashford for what he's done, because obviously it's quite well publicised that a number of parts of Liverpool are not overly well off, and a lot of children are reliant on sort of like free school meals, and particularly, I mean, because a lot of Rashford's work is done for children, but obviously he's done some other stuff as well. But there was a lot of I mean, I'm pretty sure other clubs have done it as well, but I just remember from seeing it that Everton had literally put up something on the big announcement board, like thanking him for everything he's done, and obviously rivalry put aside. And I think that's what it's been about in terms of you've got to kind of put everything to one side during the pandemic and got to work as one. And I mean, I've gone on a massive tangent, haven't I? Really, but he's. But it's just for me. It's been one of the best bits of the pandemic, or one of the highlights of the pandemic, is being seen what he's been able to do for children and being able to do for communities that without his help would be in a lot worse of a situation than they currently are. So that's been really good to see. Going back to your question, it's not great in the UK at the minute.
No, I mean, like during the lockdown and during the pandemic, I think like those things. Well, I'm gonna say those little things, but obviously he's done a big thing. Those things really stand out, and you're gonna appreciate those things now. Like before the pandemic, well, not to sound any hard or something like that, but like you're not every Christmas you've got a warm meal at your table, like 3 days in a row here. But then knowing and seeing it in the news that a lot of children don't, you're really gonna, it's gonna stand out, and you're gonna cherish and appreciate the things you've got with your family. so I really think that really comes to mind for me when I think about the lockdown. Obviously, this, like here in the Netherlands, this is the first lockdown we've got now, so it's been going on for 4 weeks now. Normally, the Netherlands, the government was really about keeping the economy going. So, well, with those limitations, trying to make the best of it for like restaurants and hotels, bars. So I think they really did a good job, but well, people in the Netherlands really make up their own mind and really, well, I'd say don't listen to the government that well as I think they do in like other countries. So yeah, obviously the number of COVID cases. Oh, I have a little crash here. The number of the COVID cases went sky high, and therefore the lockdown finally came. But I think, well, if you if you're a restaurant holder or a something like that, you really want to end it now. But I think overall it's probably the best decision they've made, and they've done a really good job with the amount of information that they've got about the COVID. They did a really good job. But yeah, I'd say if people keep on ignoring the rules that the government are setting, obviously this is gonna happen, and well, it finally happened, unfortunately. And I think like not only the lockdown, but like losing, well, like Jordan said earlier, losing family members during the COVID pandemic, not even to COVID, but to other diseases. You're really gonna cherish the moments you get with your family. Because my, well, what's a good word for it? Not my grandmother died during the COVID pandemic. She had cancer, and then they slept her in. Is it euthanasia called something like that? Is that the right word?
Say that again.
I'm not sure actually. Euthanasia, like sleeping her in.
Oh,
Is that the right word for that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you get what I mean.
Yeah,
That's probably the right way to say it. So yeah, I've been there for those 3 weeks with her, those last few moments, and I've seen her getting slept in. And talking about, I'm getting a bit emotional, but like those moments, you're really gonna cherish them, and you're gonna really cherish the family members and the people you got around you. And that really came to mind, and that really makes me. Well, that's maybe a good thing for me about the COVID situation. Obviously, it's not a good thing, but just seeing what you can lose and what can happen in the world, just cherishing the moments that you've got now. Well, that's pretty much what I want to say about it. Well, Will might want to. He's sitting in the lead right now, P1, like a gap of 5 seconds almost. Driving like he's in a Merc. You might want to share your thoughts on the topic. Yeah.
I think during this whole thing, it's been really important to focus on mental health. I think that's the main. It's been like a really good way to focus on it because of how much you spend with your own thoughts. I think it's also raised awareness for people who suffer with anxiety and depression, like Geddes mentioned, and that it's always nice to check in on a friend just by saying hi or just talking to them, see how they're getting on, providing them with any help they need, like mentally or anything like that. So I think from my perspective, it's really been focusing on my own health and a lot. I think the same for a lot of people. What about you guys?
I think.
Yeah, I really try. Well,
Go
for
ahead.
me, I try to follow the rules. I work in a supermarket in the Netherlands, so it's like in the supermarket, it's like you wanna keep distance, like those meter and a half, but people around you really don't follow the rules. So obviously, I was really happy when they introduced that. What is it called? Like the cover up from your mouth.
The face mask.
Mask.
The face mask, yeah, the face mask. That's the right word. So I was really happy with that because literally some people really listen to it and they keep distance, which is really lovely to see. They're thinking about you and the situation for everyone else around you. But then there's like queuing a lineup to get to the milk or something like that. And then some people just really cut through the line and then just grab a can of milk. Like those type of people really literally just don't feel with the word and just living on his own. I know Jordan, you want to say something about that?
I've completely forgotten what I was going to
Will
say.
just said.
Yeah,
Will just
I
said you
think
want
it was
to
to do
react.
with health, wasn't it? I think the main thing people can take from this, obviously, that it's okay not to be alright. You know what I mean? Like I think, like Will said, it was massive that people were talking about mental health and obviously keeping fit and stuff like that, making sure that we do talk about stuff. I certainly feel like the last year, it's been good for people because they have been talking more about how they feel, and actually mental health is really important, and now people are talking about it more. I think it's starting to be taken more seriously. I know it's certainly affected quite a few people in the UK for the first lockdown. They introduced a support bubble for, especially for people who are single parents or living alone. I thought that was a really good idea. I thought it was nice because I know some people do live on their own, and obviously it's can be a bit lonely and quite mentally draining not to have someone around you. So it's good that people were able to go to people's houses as support bubbles, but it's unfortunately been cancelled now, obviously due to the fact of how infectious this new strain of coronavirus is. But no, yeah, I certainly think that mental health's been talking about a lot more, and as we I think it's like 1 in every 2 or 3 people you know has some sort of mental health illness or some sort of issue they have each day and they don't necessarily talk about. And it's also good as well because people are reaching out and making sure people are okay. It's like, for example, this community, we've all been there for certain people, and we've all shown our concern and also tried to help out as much as we possibly can for each person. I don't know what it was like pre-lockdown. I only joined back in May, but I don't know what the community was like beforehand. I don't know how much support there was, but I think Ranga or one of the guys put in the Discord some numbers and some helplines for people who are struggling, that if they do need someone to speak to, that the numbers are there and that they are available and you can ring any time, which I think is really good. But yeah, it's not been nice for most people, but I think especially with the coronavirus, if you can try and stay away from people, it's good to stay in. I know people will have broken the lockdowns. People are still going out and venturing out, unfortunately. I have. I'm not gonna pretend I'm innocent. I've been out a couple of times, maybe when I shouldn't have done. Not for mass gatherings, but
Well, I think everyone has.
not for mass gatherings. But I've been and seen a friend and stood outside and stuff like that. It's not great, but I'll admit to it. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, 'cause I'm not. But I think now that this is all sorted, we need to crack on massively on it, and then hopefully we can get this eradicated and we can start living normal life soon. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, obviously those vaccines, they're coming into place now. It's like, well, in the Netherlands they say like it's light in the, it's beginning of light in the tunnel. So, well, obviously the tunnel is very long. You probably guys don't use that kind of sentence in English, but well, it kind of means that the end is near, and well, just have to keep following the rules now. As you say, I'm not perfect. Neither are you. Neither. Well, I'd say everyone here in the party has probably made a mistake once, or made a mistake, just didn't fully listen to the rules and met a friend every once in a while. Obviously, I made those, well, no mistakes, but I did that as well. Obviously, I'm gonna admit it. I'm not gonna shy away from that. I think that's also kind of important to, well, try to keep on seeing your friends. Here in Netherlands, you can be with each other if you're with 2, so no more than 2, at like 1.5 meters distance. I'd say that it's still really important to well, do that and see your friends as much as you can, and as much as you want to risk it, because like you said, well, those mental issues
I will
that
just
people
say,
are really struggling with. Yeah.
As much as I understand what you're saying, Dylan, I think realistically from the UK point of view, it's really good. From our point of view, it's good to try and see people, but obviously I don't want to condone saying go out and do stuff that is against the law. Just will say that if you have got a support bubble, if you have got someone you can see, for exercise, I think is just the only rule in the UK. or so I think you can meet with one other person for an hour outside for exercise only. Obviously, try and avoid going to people's houses if you can, unless you've got a reason for it. Because last thing I want to do is have anyone fined for stuff.
Of course. Yeah, but here in the Netherlands, you're allowed to, see a friend outside if you stay at a meter and a half distance.
And this is where everything's different, isn't it? Because we've all got different things we're all allowed to do.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of people over here aren't even really supposed to be leaving their houses. Like, a lot of people, it's work from home whenever you can. I don't know. I think work is a bit of an outlet for people. Haven't spoken to several people either in the league or within my day-to-day life. A lot of people find that work is a release, like a break, a large chunk of the day where they can actually think about something else that's not COVID related. So that helps people mentally, which is fair enough. I understand that, as long as they're not putting themselves and others at risk. I mean, I fully understand that.
When it comes to taking your mind off things, I mean, SLR's been a really good outlet, and I think it's been a really good outlet for everyone, to the point where we're just so comfortable around each other, and I don't think we'd be as close, I'd say, if it wasn't for the pandemic, which it's seen a silver lining in a way, because obviously it's in a cloud of darkness. But for me, I live alone 90% of the time because my dad's fortunate enough to work, but he works very long shifts. So I've been using SLR and Xbox to kind of as an outlet to take my mind off things and stuff like that. And then when my dad gets home, that's when I kind of focus on him, cherish the people I have around me rather than take it for granted. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's.
I agree.
I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned. This entire, 10 months now, is to appreciate everything, even the little things, because it sounds such a weird thing to say, but we just take general life for granted. Like, it's all been, not all of it, but a lot of the freedom that we usually used to, and having the ability to basically do what we want has been obviously completely taken away over in a pretty abrupt fashion, and it's been kept that way for a pretty prolonged period of time, and it's definitely taught me personally to appreciate the finer things, and really kind of not just appreciate the people around you, but appreciate the things around you that make you happy. And from personal experience, I'm an only child, so and I live when I'm at university, so I live with my best mate and his girlfriend, so we don't really, and obviously we're in our own little bubble, so we don't really see anyone else. But when I was allowed to travel back home during Christmas to be with my family and stuff, I live with my dad, so it's just me and him. And you just kind of have to realise that, I mean, the good thing about it is obviously SLR has been brilliant in terms of how the league's changed and developed because of lockdown, etc. But obviously, as Will said, I appreciate those people around me a lot more than I did before, and not in a bad way. It's not like I didn't appreciate people before. And I think people would probably understand this, but you just don't. You have so much time in your own thoughts to really think about what makes you happy, and depends obviously what kind of thing you're going through. You can even start thinking about like negative things. It's like, what if, like, how would it affect me if this happened, and like what if this happened? Because obviously it's a pandemic, things can change in a matter of seconds, and it just helps you think about the bigger picture really, and there's a lot more things to worry about than I was previously worried about, if that makes sense. I was before the pandemic came about, I was probably got myself more worked up about smaller issues and things that in the grand scheme of things are pretty irrelevant. Whereas I think being able to, well, not really being able, but being with my own thoughts for prolonged periods of time has made me think about other things, and I can't quite relate to Jordan as much in terms of I'm lucky in terms of I haven't had to deal with anxiety and depression, and I'm really grateful that I haven't had to deal with that sort of thing, because I know I've seen firsthand how it can affect people, and it's a really, really difficult thing to deal with. But I think people who know me, like some of my closest mates in the league, and obviously in my day-to-day life, know sort of things that I've had to kind of go through recently. I had like a lot of what's the word? A lot of change in a short space of time. In the last, well, where did it start? Pretty much about just over a month ago, really. I had a lot of issues in terms of like my relationship with my mum. My relationship broke down. Had a lot of other things, a lot of stress from uni work, and I was due to start work in a school in January when all the COVID sort of news was putting it up in the air, and had about 4 assignments due in the space of about 2 weeks, and a lot of things were kind of building up, and I'm, as George said before, I'm quite a upbeat, positive, usually pretty chilled out kind of guy. I don't really let things get to me, sort of thing, and I've luckily got some sort of capability to sort of deal with issues as they come, sort of thing, rather than let it sort of fester and become something bigger than it's not. But with the lockdown and all those things I mentioned sort of going on all at the same time, I was just left within my own thoughts, and it really kind of spiraled, and really put me in quite a bad place for a few weeks. And I was luckily enough that my mate who I live with was able to kind of pick up on that, and I was able to talk to him about it, and some of the guys within the league who I speak to pretty much every day were pretty quick to pick up on stuff that was going wrong. Then I was luckily able to kind of get myself out of that situation by just talking to people and sharing my problems. Obviously, being an only child and stuff, as I mentioned, I'm used to sort of being myself and dealing with my own issues, and I tried to do that, and I didn't really want to make people feel like I was a burden, and not really wanting people to worry about me, sort of thing, including like that's everyone within my life. But the good thing about the lockdown, as George already said, was that people are becoming a lot more aware of mental health and how it can affect people, and just generally what goes on in people's heads really when they have a lot of time to themselves, or when when some bad things happen. It's especially in a short space of time how things can kind of spiral. So luckily, I was able to kind of come out the other side a little bit. It has changed me as a person as well. I think before the lockdown, I was a bit like narrow-minded, I'd say, in terms of stuff to do with like mental health and other things. But it definitely does help in terms of educating people and educating myself in terms of things that people have to deal with on a regular day-to-day basis, and I've been lucky enough not to have to go through. So that's one of the best things that's come out of it for me personally. But I don't know. It's very. It's obviously not been a simple situation for anyone. And I'm lucky that I've got the people around me that have shown that they care about me, really, to kind of try and help me deal with what I was going through, and it just has really kind of taught me to think about the bigger picture in life, really. And I don't really know, to be honest, boys. It's just kind of difficult thing to kind of summarize, to be honest with you. I feel like I made several points in there, to be honest, but it's
I
makes you
certainly
think a
agree.
lot.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you in the majority of things, and obviously it's never nice to hear when people are going through stuff. And I'm glad things are starting to become a little bit better for you, mate. And obviously not nice. I think realistically, the thing we've kind of just got to remember is like we don't know what the person sat next to us or the person across the street's going through. It's always nice to just check up on people. So if you've got a mate, or everyone's got mates. If you've got someone you think may not be okay, or you've got your suspicions, I think it's always just nice to just give them a tap on the shoulder, as to speak, and just make sure they're all right.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, it's never nice to hear people are going through crap, and it's not nice at all, really. Again, like what Ranga said, I was quite naive and I didn't really understand mental health until really the pandemic, and when I started realising my friends were struggling with it and people around me were struggling with it, and you just kind of start to learn more and more, and then you think, oh, I hope I never get to that situation, and it kind of just hits you. There's no reason for it. It just sometimes just pops up. But yeah, like, I think realistically, yeah, you just need to make sure people are alright, and just make sure you're ready, available. I know there's some people here very, very strong-minded and very strong-willed, and there's people out there in the world that can talk to anyone about anything. I certainly thought I was one of those people. Not offended, not unapproachable, but you just never. If I can have it, then you really don't know really what goes on in other people's minds who maybe are shy, or people who don't talk as much. So it's a bit of a very weird situation. It's not nice to know anyone struggles with it, but like we've all pointed out, it's certainly having this pandemic has made people realise more, and there's certainly more awareness around, I would say, the UK and the world, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know if anyone. I'll let you go.
Yeah, to catch up on what Ranga said earlier, like with those depressions or anxiety issues. Obviously, when my grandmother died, like I won't say I really had some kind of depression, because I don't really know when when you have a depression or anything like that, or anxiety issues. But what I did really feel like was like Ranga either said or tried to say, is that I didn't really want people to think I had a problem, or I don't want to be a problem for either my mom or dad or my family in the bigger picture, because I try to be just a normal lad and try to be going on with my life, but till I kind of accepted that I might have some kind of depression, or might have some anxiety issues, then it really kicked in that like you're not a problem, and there are people around you who you can talk to, whether it's your family or just a doctor. I think it's really important for people to accept the fact that you might have some type of depression or anxiety issues, and I'd really say till the point you kind of accept the fact that that there is those issues and people have them, you're really gonna see life from a different perspective. And to catch on what Ranga said about those jobs and going to school and losing things, I really appreciate it when before the lockdown started here, like a few weeks ago. I really appreciated going to school because at the beginning of the year, this is my first year in college, and at the beginning of the year, I only went to school on Mondays for 3 hours, and then on Tuesday I had only 3 hours online on Microsoft Teams, and on Thursday and Friday I had 3 hours as well. So like only 9 hours online and then 3 hours in class. And at the beginning of the year, I was really thinking like, yeah, that's so cool, and like only so much free and spare time. I was really happy with that. But then after like a few weeks, it really kicked in. Like, this is not how I want to live my life. If I can choose, obviously there's not really an option here for the time being. But then, like, really to catch up on that, it's really you really kind of see how good your life has been once you see the other side of it, I'd say, if that's a good thing to say about it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I say about it. If anyone else has anything or any thoughts to share, until SLR Sam gets in and gives us a lecture.
Scopes? Yeah, Scopes.
Yeah, Scopes is here. Go on, mate.
Yeah, I'm here.
You wanna? Well, if you don't want to, you're obviously not forced to. But
that's alright.
if you want to share anything?
I sure know. I'm more than happy to speak about my stories on SidePOD. Lockdown's
Go on.
Lockdown's been a fun one. I should say that. It's been a fun one. I can reiterate the fact about mental health. It's
Matt?
Is he lagged out?
Oh, you lagged out for a bit there, mate. Go on.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't think this is coming through on the stream because I've got it going in the background. I can't hear anything.
Oh, have you ticked your box?
You literally
Yeah,
was
if
silent
you
for
have.
about 30 seconds for me.
Oh. You have ticked your box. Oh. Whoa. What can we do to fix this? Because obviously I want to hear your story, but if you can't hear it on the stream,
Hold on.
then
Let me
it's really
just-
pointless for the stream.
Let me have a look on mine.
Oh well.
Good, leave and rejoin and then try that.
Yeah, that might be the only option. I'll give you an invite if you just leave quickly. Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, you can't hear. You can't hear Matt. For some
Oh,
reason.
fine, okay. Technical issues.
Yeah, apologies for that, guys.
He's the famous SidePOD bloke, isn't he? Scopesy lad. Wouldn't be the same without him.
Yeah, he's unconnecting now for me, but yeah, he joined now. Yep. Well, yeah, we can. If you tick your box, we can check on the stream if we can hear you. All right. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
just
I think we can hear him.
continue. I'd say, yeah. Well, go on.
Wherever you
Oh
want,
well,
mate.
whatever you feel like, mate. Yeah.
Still nothing. Sorry, still nothing.
Still nothing. Oh what?
Anything
Really?
now?
Nightmare.
Anything now?
Yeah, I can't hear anything either.
Still nothing. Sorry.
How is that possible? That makes no sense.
I don't know. I swear I just heard him when he took his box on the stream.
He did, and it went.
That is
My box-
really weird.
Wow.
I've
My
never
box
seen
is
that
ticked
before.
on my screen.
Yeah. Well, it's probably not that. Well.
Yeah,
that
I
really
literally
don't know what
just
we
heard
can
him
do
say
about
box is
this.
ticked on my screen on the stream.
Yeah.
Is it on the
I
screen?
don't know.
Am I,
Might just be me then.
am
I'll
I
shut
live
up.
now?
Right.
Am I live?
Matt, you start talking. I'll listen to the stream and I'll tell you
Yeah, I
if I can hear
heard
anything.
box just tick now. Wow.
Right. So as I was saying, I was just going on about how lockdown has caused a roller coaster for everyone, whether it's to
Yeah,
do
can hear
with
him fine.
life or mental. Me myself lost a job, lost a house, got a new job, got a new house, lost another job, lost another house, became practically homeless and unemployed over Christmas, which took a massive toll on my mental side, and the guys in the league will know. Moving into the new year, temporarily been allowed to go back home until I can find somewhere to go, but that's just over the past 6 weeks in a way. So lockdown, well, this second lockdown has caused that. First lockdown didn't help at all with mental health, but it is what it is. It's what we've got to do to get rid of it in the end. Just got to keep fighting forward. I've got the SLR boys by my side. Got them doing random stuff every day to keep us entertained. So I can't really complain, really. Just got to say thank you to you all.
Stop it, you make me cry.
I don't mean to make you cry every time I
I'll
speak.
probably speak. I'll probably speak for everyone here that obviously we hope once this pandemic is over, we'll be doing well again and
Yeah,
pick up
totally
your
agree.
life from where it left.
Appreciate you boys sharing your stories. It must not be
Yeah, I really,
must be difficult.
honestly, I really appreciate that when people share their stories, those difficult stories,
It's alright.
well, with me and with the stream.
You guys are
think
the
it's
only ones
kind
that
of
can actually
a-
listen.
I think it's really
wanna say, John?
it's quite nice as well that we can actually come out and show that it's okay to speak about
Yeah,
events. Obviously, everyone's slightly different and stuff, and I mean, certainly for you guys, and hope everything gets sorted for you as soon as possible.
Same with you, buddy.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make it like a massive sob story for myself, but things are starting to get better, and all I can say is I hope the rest of you guys are doing well.
Good.
And starting to get better, but it's certainly a bit of an eye opener. You don't, like I said, you just all four of you guys from I don't know in person, but it's good that you guys can actually open up and speak about things, and we can speak on Twitch to people all around the world, whoever is watching, about people's issues and what we go through. So yeah, if you are watching, guys, if you need to talk about stuff, make sure you do talk to your friends, family, and anyone really.
I think it's quickly like this links back to what Will was saying earlier about how the league is kind of developed over the course of 2020, and I think from personal experience, not from personal experience, but in my personal opinion, the growth of the league, and I mean I've said this before, and I'm not going to go over it over and over it and over it again because I don't want to kill it, but the league and how it changed and developed over the course of 2020. I mean, I'm not going to put it all down to the lockdown because that would be unfair to everyone who played their part. But obviously, it helped. It allowed people to have more time. But I think the growth of the league was by far the best thing to happen to me in 2020. Obviously, created such a completely different sort of network of people from all different sort of walks of life in for me, and some people that I mean pretty much anyone that I would very unlikely to meet at any stage, and people from all sorts of different backgrounds that you in all different places all over the world that you can talk to. I mean, look at us now. I mean, Dylan's in Holland, and then we're all scattered all over the UK, and Also, there's people from all around the world, and we're able to kind of, because of the friendships and trust we've built up between each other, because of the time we've been able to spend together, we're able to talk about stuff like this so openly, and I think that's such a brilliant thing. And I know for a fact that there are several people in this league who I'd class as some of my best mates, because, as I've mentioned before, sort of stuff I've had to kind of deal with recently, and so many people that I've had messages from and had support from, and some really, really good advice has helped me kind of deal with the stuff that I've been having to kind of face. And there's no other way to put it. There's plain and simple the support from some of the guys within here, and from LOs down, all, like, you know, head admins, drivers, stewards, anything. Like, the amount of support I've had from a personal level has kind of blown me away, really. So I'm very, very grateful for that, and grateful that we can talk about this like we are now. And it was kind of a bit of like a last minute idea, but I'm kind of glad we've done it, to be honest. I do like talking about sort of these more serious, sort of real world issues, sort of thing. Not all the time. We don't want the SidePOD to kind of become like sort of deep conversations every single time, but it is lovely to really kind of go back to basics and think about the small things and what makes us happy, and the importance of not taking these sort of things for granted. And obviously, in the case of the league, how it's changed and how it's evolved to create the platform it's created, and to create the friendships and support networks that it's created at the same time.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. It's certainly good to have that, you know, and it's good to have a place where people can escape, and it's a bit different. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of lovely people in this community that I'm sure, if you ask for their help, they'd come out and speak about it.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I don't know if you boys have seen, I've just said if anyone wants to speak about anything, whoever's watching, I don't know how many people we have got watching. I'm only a couple, but for anyone who wants to have a chat, then just give me a shout, either in the DMs or whatever. I'm happy to speak to anyone. Just so you all know you're never alone. And yeah, fair enough, most people here don't know me, but like I said, DMs are open.
I'll tell you that one of the best things that I've been getting lately has been helping me kind of get through the early mornings for getting up for work. Has been some of George's Snapchats. Incredible, incredible content. I'm going to tell you now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he's probably loving to hear that.
just shout me out publicly. No, it's it's good to also try and have a laugh as well. I know, like I said, I've got my issues, but people who do know me outside of SLR, like Jamie, Night Ranger, Baggy Fan, Southerners, Darnell, know my sort of normal life and what I'm like. So it's still there, but behind the closed doors, we all have our issues, don't we?
Yeah.
Totally.
And obviously, not everyone wants to talk about them, do they? And
absolutely not.
I don't think we'd ever expect anyone to talk about their sort of personal issues especially if they never want to. I think we've seen a couple of. I think Sem's joined now, and I'm sure he'll give us a bit of a talk about what he's been going through and stuff. But we've seen stuff sort of in the think tank chat, and it's been really nice to kind of talk to people about real world sort of stuff and issues, you know, aside from the league, and in that chat. And it's been really it's been good to kind of get to know people a lot better. in that sort of capacity. Yeah, I'm just very appreciative of it all, to be honest.
Yeah, so like you said, Sam has joined now, and Owen has as well. Well, you probably heard what we've been talking about for the past couple of minutes, and for almost an hour now. Well, if one of you boys, Sam, probably has his own story on his life now, and what the lockdown and the pandemic has done to it. If you want to share your thoughts, obviously you don't have to, but feel free if you want to.
No, hello. I mean, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I mean, pandemic. I mean, like, it's not been good to us, but um, first couple of months of it, I think last year, obviously, just um, how much change there was with uni, the rushed exams to be online only exams, and just really the chaos and just the panic and just how unusual it was initially. I think, well, that let's say to the pandemic, it definitely threw everyone. It absolutely definitely threw everyone, and it threw me quite a bit. Um, but then like I always say that, like, the pandemic also as well for me. Last year, my nan got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and so she was in the and so she was in the care home, and until about 2 weeks before she died, we couldn't see her because they weren't letting anyone in the care home. That obviously, like, I know that so many people around the country will have things similar to that. Like, they basically boarded off hospitals because of COVID spreading, because obviously they're the most vulnerable people. However, it did mean that I was in this country because I think there was the Euros last year. I'd gone. I was meant to be going to the Euros, but that got called off due to the pandemic. So it did mean that I was in this country. So I probably saw her more in our last moments than I would have done without the pandemic. So in a weird way, obviously, it affected me badly in that sense because she was so close we couldn't see her. But then also it meant that I was in the country and in a position where I could, and so that was good. Obviously, then joined SLR in August last year, and of course, like, I'm not 100% happy at all times, or whatever, and sometimes I do channel my kind of personal frustration into general things. And I am quite opinionated, and like, do sometimes get into a few heated debates with people in the league. But honestly, I would not substitute this league for anything else in the world that anything has given me last year. Just having that online group of community of what I call like a load of online friends, to be able to just 5 feet from my bed just go on Xbox, and despite not being able to see anyone in person, just having that sort of community, as Ranka said, of people to just speak to have a laugh with, to play games with and stuff. It's something that cannot be understated in these current conditions. I imagine you probably all feel the same in that regard. And yeah, that's one thing that's been very, very good in the pandemic, of course. And yeah, well, we're nearly a year. It's nearly a year gone, really, of it, and just everything's become the new norm of wearing masks everywhere, certain shops being shut, getting uncomfortable when you see people in crowds of people together. It's really, really confusing and everything. But I mean, like, it's not been all bad.
What about on like a sort of? I mean, obviously, if you don't want to talk about it, that's absolutely fine, no problem. I've seen you talk about stuff to do with uni and stuff in the think tank chat, and having spoken to you as well in parties and stuff. You want to talk about how that sort of things affected you and?
Oh yeah, well, with the whole thing as well. Another thing is, like, last year, in the middle of lockdown, so we were camped in a house together. There was well, my parents were getting in the process of getting a divorce, so I mean, that's so obviously you can imagine being cramped in a house together, just how toxic that could get, which is kind of why like I guess I'm the kind of person who doesn't really like. I like things to be kind of like chilled or whatever because it was so stressful in the house then. So a combination of that and just the other things in the lockdown, whatever, just and having to adjust to online learning at uni, I just couldn't hack it. I just couldn't hack doing uni. So I ended up taking a year out of uni because I was just there. I remember just the day before an assignment was due, sat there stressing with a pounding headache, trying to get questions down. I just didn't feel like I could focus on working and stuff. I needed to do things that I wanted to do, if that makes sense. Like sometimes, when you're so stressed and stuff, ultimately, people call you lazy and stuff for it. But like when you have mental health issues, like laziness, whatever, it's a load of rubbish. It's mental health days, whatever. Just taking time out of your life just to do things that you enjoy is just having a day where you're not stressing about anything. And just with my degree, because there were just the constant berating deadlines every week or two, even when I was having a day where I thought that I would relax and not do any work, I always had this thought in the back of my mind that I have to do work, I have to do this, we're constantly stressing about my deadline. So it was a massive weight off my shoulders, not what just saying, right, I'm going to give myself a year out of this. I'm gonna give myself a year out of not having to work or anything like that, and definitely it's helped me immensely. Of course, now kind of in a stage where I need to get a job and stuff for a few months, and that's been really, really hard to find with the pandemic. Obviously, there's how many jobs that can't do remote only and stuff, and finding jobs which you're qualified for, but definitely don't regret taking that year out. Is something that just like mental health cannot be overstated of how like it's just as important, if not more important than physical health. Like ultimately you can't do things physically that you want to do if your brain is telling you that you can't do them. It's and so ultimately, like, completely echo what Geddes is saying, whatever. It's just like just talk to people. Just talk to people. Just talk to people about anything, whatever. Like, if there's a certain area of your life that you're stressed about, if there's a certain area of your life that kind of gets that gets you down or whatever, if you just want someone just to have a laugh with them, it's like, if you want to talk through your issues or you just want to try and forget them, then just speak to someone. If anyone wants to speak to me about anything, I will be I'm completely open. Like, obviously got so little on that DMs will always be open just to have a chat with people. It's just obviously hopping on the Xbox, but I was just talking with someone in person. I find that sometimes your head can be spinning about something. You think you have an idea of something, and your mind is telling you something, but actually just talking through something in person with somebody, you realise that actually the issue that you have is workable. You realise that you can focus on other things that are good. That makes sense, really. That's kind of what I have to say on that.
I can relate to you massively in terms of the uni thing, and I think it's a bit of a stereotype that people will think, oh, you're lazy, this and that, if you can't get on with your work, and having the constant deadlines and the constant sort of self-doubt and voices in the back of your head telling you that personally it's the sort of thing you couldn't really enjoy anything else, because something in the back of your head was telling you, oh yeah, I'm not allowed to enjoy this because I haven't finished my assignments and something like this, and you constantly worrying about the things that obviously you do need to worry about it to an extent, but you don't want it to kind of take over everything that you're saying and doing within your day-to-day life. And even sometimes just getting out of bed is an achievement. Like literally opening up the laptop, and especially from a uni perspective, literally opening up, like obviously everything's online, opening up your laptop and attending like an online lecture is an achievement for some people for on particular days.
Yeah.
And I've had days like that where it's very just draining stuff, especially from I think where me and Sem come from, and I think a few other people as well. So obviously our uni experience started without coronavirus, where we were able to go on campus and interact with people. And I mean, I do a teaching degree, so a lot of my experience and knowledge comes from getting involved in things and doing things rather than sat there writing essays. And not being able to do that now is a massive thing. And Sam's completely spot on. It just takes a massive toll out of people.
Yeah.
People just don't even realise really until you actually go through it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and with the whole like, you're not enjoying anything, if you're not doing well, like, one thing ultimately, I think has helped out me personally is like just like I think a good mindset to have is that ultimately whatever you're doing, degree, work, apprenticeship, internship, any of that, all of ultimately, what are you doing this for? You're doing this to further your career, whatever. Like for example, you're working like 40 hours a week trying to sustain a family or whatever. Your life, whilst you think it may revolve around work, ultimately the work is to support your family, and so it's like ultimately, it's worth just never forgetting that actually that's the most important. That's the most important bit. It's not the work. It's not the work itself. Whatever you're doing, whatever. It's that important not to let yourself be drawn into that, and remember actually, life is worth enjoying. This is a part of your life that is going to improve your life eventually, whatever, and ultimately it's a part of your life that you need to be doing, but it isn't the be all and end all of it, even though it feels like it is.
Yeah, completely. It's like the bigger picture, isn't it? And it's not easy to think about in the short term because your mind's kind of clogged up about a lot of other issues and stuff. But coming to terms with everything is a lot easier when you just try and almost debunk it and sort of think about like the smaller things and the doing, sort of breaking things up into chunks and doing it one thing at a time rather than thinking about one big problem, one big issue. And you do one thing at a time. You take it bit by bit, and but, I mean, it certainly helped me. I'm not saying it's going to be a universal sort of thing that will help everyone, but that seemed to help me from a personal level.
Yeah, for sure.
I think.
Sorry,
go on, you go.
No, go on. I wasn't 100% what I was going to follow up with.
No, I was gonna bring in Rando and Ellen, and they've both joined, and if they've got anything they want to say, I mean, I'd be interested to know, from Rando's perspective, what it's like in terms of school and stuff. And obviously, he's got a stressful point because he's doing basically his final exams this year, and obviously that's a pretty stressful place to be in, especially with schools closing and all sorts of things going on. But I don't know if he's there, to be honest.
No.
Interesting.
Just listening.
Mate, McLaren drivers are always on duty. You guys know that.
Up the McLaren.
Propaganda. Cheers.
Yeah. No, it's well on. Like it is. It's
I don't think there's ever going to be a school year, probably like the last year and my year, probably the most affected upper sixth years probably since the war. Like, because there is just, like, I was told, like, so when I joined lower sixth, I was told you're going to have 2 years of school, do your exams in the summer, like, that's the route everyone does. You could go to uni, that's your standard route. And then obviously schools shut in March last year, and then it all went online, and then that was incredibly weird. But then after that, we thought, it's fine, it's back to normal. And I went to school for a term, and relatively little had changed to normal. Obviously, there was like hand washing, you had to wear face masks, but you could almost like lie to yourself that it was relatively normal. I think the school was trying their best to make it as normal as possible. Then obviously with the move to shut down schools, we've had to go back to online learning, and then exams are cancelled. And we haven't even sat mock exams yet. So for us, there's literally we have no idea what we need to do to get our grades, which for most people, I was happy when they cancelled exams, partly because I bamboozled predicted grades that are probably a bit inflated. But obviously it's one thing to, know to revise to an exam, but if every piece of work I'm handing into a teacher could go towards my grade, that means every time a teacher's like, yeah, can you write this 12 marker essay for me? I remember when I was trying to get my predicted grades, I was staying up till, so obviously I'm bored, Ranga. I was staying up till 2:30 in the morning, and I was waking up at 6:45 every day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
Grinding out school to get the best grades I could. So it's like I was putting in so much effort, and I was so burnt out by like winter. It was ridiculous. Like by the time of the holiday, I was like, yeah, thank God, I get a holiday, relax, recharge, and then like everything just like turns upside down.
Was that during the first
exams
lockdown?
being cancelled. It was a mix of things, because during the first lockdown, it was I quite enjoyed the first lockdown from a learning perspective, because I don't know, it was like we'll just do some work and it will be fine. Everything's chill, relaxed. But it all ramped up when we went back to school in September, because half the people were like, you've got to really work hard now because this will go towards your A levels, and other people were like, it's fine, you can relax, because you've got your exams in the summer. And then I was here doing this like worst of both worlds, where I was trying to have a social life as well as working my arse off to try and get better predicted grades. And then it just gets slam dunk with you're not actually going to sit exams, and we're not going to tell you how you're going to get your grade. So that's kind of I'm in limbo at the moment, which obviously isn't amazing, to be honest, but get through it,
So how have you found it? Has it kind of taken a toll on you, sort of thing, or have you managed to kind of find ways to come to terms with the new restrictions, and obviously not being able to see your mates now, and school not being the same as you sort of remember it being?
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard to adjust to, because I know everyone's told like a prescribed plan. I remember being in year 9 and looking up to like the year 13s, like, oh, one day I'm going to be doing what they're doing type thing. And then it's like my year 13 year, I'm sitting in my bedroom for like 14 hours a day doing online work. And it is incredibly, I feel bad for people who aren't in my position, because like at the end of the day, Sem was saying a lot of truth. Like, I literally turn on my Xbox and I can invite people to a party and I can have a conversation with someone. Or I can message my friend to be like, yo, do you want to get pissed up on a WhatsApp call? Like things like
You do that all the time, don't you?
I didn't. But like little things like that, just to try and like get you back into reality. Like that's like, I know my friend did an Xbox Olympics over like 6 games, and we were like taking it really competitively, and then we had like an awards ceremony and whatnot. Like just things to try and like make everyone like kind of feel normal. But if you're someone who maybe you don't play online, The Xbox
That's true.
Olympics. But no, it was just
Xbox
like
Live.
if you don't have that, like it's gonna be so hard. Like my brother, thank God he's got one. He plays with one friend on his PC all of the time, but he's a bit more introverted. So if he didn't have that one friend, it'd be really hard for him because
Yeah.
there's like you can't just walk down a corridor and say hello to people. There's no like saying good morning to people. You're just stuck like almost in your bedroom. You get sick of seeing the same people over and over again to a certain extent. And online school just kind of reaffirms that because you're each in your own little like my interaction with the world is the people in my house and whoever's on my laptop screen, which for some people is incredibly hard. And I know obviously SLR makes a big thing about mental health, and absolutely they should because it's like so important. If you're not getting anywhere near, even with normal social interaction, mental health's important, but especially when people can't go and have the conversations, like just saying good morning to someone every day. Some people are massively affected by not being able to do that because it's just like mentally you're so used, it's your routine. People hate change and everything's being turned on its head. It's just like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, what I find with the online classes, like I said earlier on the stream, like at the beginning, I thought was a nice thing, like a nice ad. Like, well, it's only at home. Like normally, I had to travel like 30 minutes with the train and metro. And obviously now I don't have to. So at the beginning, I was really like, wow, this is a good thing. Um, but now, like Ranga said as well, like getting your laptop started and joining an online class, it's draining. Like having 4 hours of just straight up listening to your teacher. Well, it drains me really. And like I know that in my school they really do well better the situation and make it more so we can make more assignments online with like all together with like groups of 4 people, and they're like really trying to make those classes more interesting, even though you're just behind a laptop. But obviously, it's new for the schools as well. It's new for everyone this pandemic, and I feel like the schools are, at least in the Netherlands, here, they're finding it so hard to keep the consistent level of a class, but at the same time keep it interesting for the people as well. And therefore, like I haven't really enjoyed it this year. Although my the graduation I'm following, is that the right word? The
Yeah.
classes I'm following. I find it really interesting, and I find the classes that I'm getting really interesting. But still, it's it's so hard to keep up. To not get distracted. I think that's probably the most important thing, to not get distracted on a lecture by your teacher, because obviously he's saying really important stuff for your test and for your exams, but it's so easy to get distracted now online, and that is probably the well the biggest reason for people now to stop going to those online classes, probably because it's sometimes annoying and not interesting, but they're not getting good grades because they're getting, well, really, as I'm trying to raise with a pad as well, so I'm gonna do this really well. To try to obviously follow a class, but at the same time it's all online, so it's so easy for me to just to pick up my phone and to check the Instagram, and then I missed the thing the teacher said, and it's probably really important for my next exam, but obviously I can't turn it back now. So it's really hard for me to get good grades. I'm getting good grades, but I can see why people are struggling to get good grades, and that's probably getting to people's head as well. So that's really what I wanted to say about school there. It's really annoying, I'd say, but obviously I haven't really enjoyed the first year. Meanwhile, I think you really need to enjoy school to get good grades. Obviously, it's not always that interesting and not always that the thing you want to do, but in the end, I think it's really important for you to, as I've just been my car into the wall, it's really important for you to, do a graduation that you like and that you love following, and that's really hard for me in this pandemic.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
It was a good crash there,
If
though.
anyone. Cheers, mate.
What about you, Owen?
I am stupid.
I'm gonna ask you.
Sorry,
like-
just watching the now.
Suicide racing with a
Yeah.
pen.
Oh, dear.
I'm trying to think. My perspective hasn't really, well, what my day-to-day basis has been hasn't really changed since before the lockdown. That's mainly because I was doing my course in coaching just up in July, I think, 2019. So decent bit beforehand, and then I started my course in football coaching, which was quite good, and that stayed me out to the rest of the year. And then part of the course was supposed to go out for the whole year, until I think it was till the end of July 2020, and then of course that didn't happen, and we got to the second part of it, which was where I would have been a year ago today, which was when I went to South Africa for what would have been, should have been, I think, 11 weeks. It ended up being 9 weeks because that was when everything started kicking in with everything. And then the UK went into lockdown actually before I was, well, the official start of lockdown, as it was called by whatever his name is, the health secretary, was actually before I came back home, but then I got back. But then before we went into proper lockdown and everyone was told to stay at home and stuff like that, and it was like pretty much enforced that I was home by then, which was quite good. Wasn't for long, but yeah. Since then, I mean, the reason I kind of took this course to start with, I didn't 100% know what I wanted to do when I was just come out of school, and I hadn't put any thought into it at all. I literally got that course like I think a month, if that, before I finished school and stuff. So it's a bit weird, and yeah, I didn't really know what to do with my life basically. So that was quite fun. So by the time I come back from here, I've gone straight into this lockdown, and it's been almost a year now, and I've done literally nothing because I can't physically get a job at the minute. It's very hard. Finally, I've kind of come up with something that I want to do, and I've been going after that for like 3 months, and I still can't really find anything for it. So it's not great for someone like me. It was quite fortunate, I guess, compared to what other people my age have been doing, because a lot of them were, well, this would be technically be my second year at university now. Have started in September, and the people that were in my year at school, they have just been kind of fisted 2 years in a row with uni, and like half of, they haven't even been in. They've been at home. Doing uni, from his perspective, but then for me, I don't really do much else nowadays other than do a bit for my dad, and I do little bits for him for his work, and not really stuff I enjoy. So it's a bit awkward time for me, and a lot of people probably get in the same sort of way. It gets quite annoying sometimes, but yeah, only things you can do to get by it.
Yeah. So has it been like, have you had sort of any sort of like, what's the word? I'm not really sure what word I'm looking for here. Have you had sort of any personal sort of issues to kind of overcome, or have you had like?
A lot of it has just kind of been pressure on trying to find a job, trying to just sort out my life, not do stuff I do, because it's just very boring on a day-to-day for me. So it's quite frustrating in a way. And then when you get this all like mounted pressure on top of, you need to get a job and stuff like that, it gets quite annoying for me. And then sometimes you don't really know what you're doing. I was quite ill for quite a lot of it as well, to be fair. I remember the start of last season. It was about this time last season, so what was it, about July, I think. I was quite ill then, so that was also quite fun because I couldn't do anything at all. I was literally just sitting in bed all day, and that can get to you a lot. And it's, yeah, sometimes it's not exactly the greatest things to do. So, yeah.
Fair enough, mate. It's good to, it's nice to know sort of what's been going on in your life, sort of thing. We don't really talk about that sort of thing on a regular basis, do we? It's just like sort of business.
Mm.
Two businessmen, two entrepreneurs.
I think it's quite nice as well. Like we're hearing stories from people that not necessarily you would hear them from. So it's actually quite nice to actually sit and listen to what
I
people
agree.
are talking about. So for example, Sam and Owen and Rando, it's quite different. It's quite nice to listen to. Well, obviously it's not nice what's going on, but it's nice to listen to actually what's going on in your lives and take a minute to reflect that actually some people are going through different things. I can't. I mean, obviously, a couple of you guys are a bit younger than me, so I wouldn't know what it's like being at school and not knowing what's going on for your future. I can only hope from quite quickly. I mean, you're poor guys in uni. I could never imagine that. To be honest, I'm quite privileged to actually be in a profession now and being able to do it, whereas you guys still got quite a lot to work on and not know what way's up effectively. So I hope everything gets sorted for you guys. Your future kind of relies a lot on this. So
I was going to jump off, but like I feel like there's something to add with what you just said. I mean, like, obviously, future is whatever varied and kind of up in confusion, but just going by myself, like how few jobs there are really to find. Obviously, like there's a lot available, whatever, but a lot of them are very specific jobs that require specific qualifications and stuff. And Owen said he had the same thing as well. It's just, of course, people in full-time work who have had that stability and are able to find them, but yeah, able to provide for themselves, the people that they're living with and stuff. Just that going kind of that just going haywire and just not being able to provide as well, and like actually not having that security anymore. Obviously, that's something that I imagine is incredibly scary for some people as well. Whatever, like probably worse than people like me who are kind of like having some uncertainty with my degree, because they have to provide for themselves and others as well. Like ultimately, it's just you just hope that there are enough jobs available, enough support available for everyone who needs it, really, in regards to all of that.
That's a lovely Snapchat, George.
That's one of those things.
How many is it? One with 900 chins, like or something?
Actually, it wasn't this time. I think the one I sent back to him had about 3.
So just quickly say a side note. It's actually a really good point. There's someone just messaged me. How much of a difference pets make to people's mental health?
oh my
Yep.
god,
I'm allergic.
But I want to add to that it's really important to, still care for those animals, even though the lockdown is going to end at one point. And I feel like people are just going to get some animals now, or some dogs or cats, just for the lockdown, and then, I know
that's bad.
they're probably gonna get some animals abandoned.
Yeah, that's a really good
Which is a
point.
really bad thing.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I know, like my brother, so we got our dog like 2 years ago now, maybe. And he, honestly, we got Barney because Marcus is in love with that dog, I swear to God. Not bad. Yeah, this is my brother, Marcus. Yeah, he loves that dog so much. But yeah, I think that's made a big difference, because a dog's never going to say, actually, mate, not today, not talking to you. Like, you know, dogs are like people's best friends, and like whenever you want to just like, I just want to chill out watching TV with a dog. The dog's always going to be there. It's not going to say no. And I think for a lot of people, dogs or cats or hamsters or goldfish, whatever it might be, pets generally make a massive difference to people's mental health because they're just always there. Like I don't know, like so. Lily just told me that her dog is like her saviour sometimes. Like for her mental health, Lily just said it makes a massive difference. And I agree, like it does make a massive difference to a lot of people.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I've got a rescue dog. There's a German Shepherd, and his name's called Rex. And he's certainly a character. We've had him for 6 years now, and it's certainly amazing to have an animal about. Whether it's a dog, cat, or anything, it definitely feels like it helps out a lot. When things are sometimes tough, it's nice just to get out of the house and just take the dog for a walk and just enjoy the little things like throwing a ball or a stick or whatever. It's definitely a different perspective in life.
With Ricky Gervais.
I'm a bit like mine is Ricky Gervais.
Just to wipe in and listen to in this GTA session, he's got to do the intro.
Mate, I want to play bridge, but I have to play the North Yankton prologue.
Oh.
You're having a serious conversation in this Twitch stream.
I'm sorry, mate. I'm just trying to entertain a bit.
Finn's doing on the stream while we're having a really serious conversation.
I gotta say, like, people are having a serious conversation here. I'm just shooting some cops here. That's not really what I'd say to mine.
Mixed messages.
I am sorry.
I'm gonna head off now. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, if anyone
nice
has
to
to add something,
story
feel
and nice to
free.
hear some of yours.
Yeah, cheers Sam for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers, mate.
Say if anyone has something to add, feel free. I think the most has been said.
We've gone on for nearly an hour and 3/4.
For an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Hour and a half now. So
I think, from my point of view, just to end it from where I am, just want to say thanks, guys, for sharing your stories, and thanks for listening to mine. Obviously, it's never nice to know people are going through these things in life, but I certainly hope whoever's been watching this has made everyone realise that it is okay to talk about stuff, and we are all here as one community to listen to people, and I'm more than happy to listen to anything any of you guys will talk about, and I honestly hope the best for the rest of you through this pandemic and the rest of 2021.
Thanks, mate, and you.
cheers.
Appreciate that.
No problems.
Into that.
If there's nothing more to add, I'd say we'll end it from here on.
The only
It's a
thing,
lovely
the
message.
only thing I'll say is that if anyone's watching
sure.
now, I know it's gone on for
Have
a
you
long
done
time.
Drive of the Week, if I may ask?
No,
not
but
on drugs for the week.
just quickly, if anyone's watching now, or watches this back, or I don't know, even if this little bit gets clipped, but would love to have some feedback from some guys as to how they feel this has gone. From our perspective, it's gone. I think it's gone really well. It's starting to talk about something a bit different. But if you guys would like to see some more sort of serious sort of topics, or topics that aren't just racing related, let us know. And if anyone wants to join, a SidePOD episode at any time, then feel free, pretty much. But I'm particularly interested to find out what people think about the episodes, and if we can maybe do some other sort of real world issue sort of episodes. Yeah, pretty much it from me anyway.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just lovely to have some. Well, it's not only for the stream, but obviously people joining on the stream is lovely to see. But it's just lovely to have a conversation, which is really important in these times. So I want to thank you all for joining again and having a conversation with me and the other guys here in the party. If there's nothing more to add, if no one else has something to add, I guess I'll end the stream, unless someone is going to say something now.
No, I mean, just if anyone wants to talk, I'm here. I think everyone's
Yeah.
here for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Thanks for hosting again, Dylan. Definitely starting to
Yeah.
get
Shift,
that.
Dylan.
Definitely starting to make the head of the SidePOD your own chief. So thanks again, mate.
Yeah.
Sounds like more like clock every day.
I want to see how you guys respond when I say I'm ending. Is one of y'all gonna cry just like I did when the clock's told to try stop? Or? Beggy has been inviting me for the last 5 minutes
We get
to
spammed.
start
Oh,
GTA,
yes.
so I'll probably. It might not be the best thing to play GTA prologue when we're talking about a serious issue here, but just trying to entertain it. Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks for joining again. Obviously, next week we'll be having a different topic, and we'll see what it stands next week. I have no clue. We'll probably only find out a few hours before, but that's probably how it normally goes. Well, cheers everyone for joining in. Cheers everyone for sharing their stories and listening to the others. And we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Ta-ra.